Hey guys!
I'm Kelsey, I'm a senior.
I'm Emorie, I'm a junior.
I'm Ella, and I'm a junior as well.
We're here today to talk about the talk that we had on Wednesday that's all about like change and just, change in your life and stuff.
All things change.
Yes. And I remember the verse was 2 Corinthians, and it was about how we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves and we should stop evaluating stuff from a human point of view because you can't evaluate God from a human point of view. And so when you look at change in your life, to think of it from a godly perspective and not a humanly perspective. And that really resonated with me because I have a disabled mom, and I always think, like, what would life be like if I had a normal parent and a normal family? But I just have to think that God put me here for a reason, and I have the life I have for a reason.
I also agree with that because a lot of people hear this a lot, and I know I've heard this a lot, but it's one of those cliches that actually does matter a lot, but it's always so repetitive when you hear it for the first time. It's just annoying. God put you on this road for a reason, and then you're just like, well, I don't want to be, and it's just, you don't really think about it, you just know to push it off firsthand. And when I know I bring this up a lot, but it's genuinely a big part of me. Of when I moved here, I didn't really have anybody, and instead of walking through God's road and walking through the life He gave me, I just want to push back. I just want to move back to where I was, and I kind of refused what He was showing me, and I kept walking through a door. I kind of just, instead of opening a new door, I just kept trying to walk through the old one that was already closed. And when I moved here, God was trying to show me this big path, and the second that I kind of let it go and just watched what He was trying to show me and looked through that, I was a lot happier. And at first I didn't even want to be happier, and I kind of cut out that side of me and kept going back into darkness because I thought that's what I wanted. And then I just opened my eyes and saw that that's not what was on my path.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like I'm a really stubborn person. So if something, like you said, when you first moved here, you didn't want to find happiness. You didn't want to be happy. It just brings it back to the same thing of everything happens for a reason, genuinely. And that's very cliche, but you have to, if you never went through something, you would have never grown. And change is scary, but staying the same forever is so much more scary, you know? I'm reading my notes. If you never, that's all I got, actually.
No, I fully resonate with the moving because I moved here from Georgia when I was 6, and I had just started school, and I had gone from being with the people I had been with since diapers to completely new people, a completely new atmosphere. And then I moved from a private Christian school to a completely different school, to a public school, and it was a big shift. And so learning how to navigate from going from a class of only a couple hundred people to thousands of students every day, it was insane. But luckily I realized that God put me there for a reason, and I stopped fighting against it and accepted that this is where I was, and I was there for a reason, and I was able to find amazing friends and grow. It was also similar to moving to Memphis and moving churches, because I'm the main reason that my parents decided to join Hope, because originally we went to a completely different church that was 45 minutes away from our house. But then we found Hope and it became our home, and it was because of the family and the people I found and the fact that I trusted God's plan and let Him lead me down that path.
I feel waiting on change is difficult because sometimes when you close that old door and then you're kind of in the waiting, you're in between, and the new door hasn't opened yet, you feel, what am I trying to say? What's the word I'm looking for? Regret almost. You feel
impatient?
You feel that. But also I feel you start to second guess, oh, should I have closed that door? Or
change is really difficult because you feel you want to accept where you are, but then you also miss where you were. And so it's just the realizing that like we were saying, everything happens for a reason. And I mean, I feel like any change is good change, because if you stay the same, then you're never learning from your mistakes and your experiences. And your mistakes and your experiences is what grows you as a person.
I will say that, like, change is, like, I know, like, we've been saying this the entire time. Change is necessary, but I think, like, just in general, like, once you go through one big change, you're, like, changed forever. Because when I'm bringing the move back, but when I first moved here, I was so close-minded. Like, I didn't want to, like, really think about anything. Like, I was just like, this is what it is, and this is what's going to happen. And then when I moved here and God showed me, like, everything, I've been more open-minded. So, like, when another difficulty comes in my way, I'm like, well, that's nothing compared to the move, and he got me through that. So that means this could show me something new. And, like, I got into film here. Like, I knew what I was going to do with my life. And before that, I had no clue. And so if I didn't move here and I didn't go through that challenge, I wouldn't have known what I'm, like, really doing, and it probably wouldn't be the same. So
I've been lucky enough to never have to go through a big change of, like, a big move or anything like that in my life. I mean, I moved here when I was pretty young and I went back and forth, but I guess the only, like, big change that has ever happened is just me coming to Jesus, which when you come to Jesus and you change, and, like, without a doubt you're gonna change, but it's never a bad thing. I mean, for me, it was like peace was a big thing. I had the worst anxiety, insomnia. Like, I would not sleep. Ever since I was a toddler, I would not sleep. And when I came to Jesus, I just magically got healed in that way, I guess. I mean, I sleep good now, and I don't have anxiety like I used to. Like, I think worry is a big thing. It really just, I hear a lot in my head, and it's the same thing. It's the cliche of just everything happens for a reason. I have a verse. So it's, okay, we said this last Wednesday, but it was 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, and the new is here. So I think that when I started changing in, like, such a big way, I didn't change friends, but I think that my friends started viewing me differently because of the things I wasn't doing anymore, or I was doing. And something that, another verse I have written down, it says, it's Romans 12:2. Do not copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. And so I think that coming to this church made me kind of not separate from my old friends, because obviously I still love them, but make new friends that also, what am I trying to say?
Like, are godly.
that are godly and, like, show you new things instead of
Yes. Like,
Yep.
make friends that are godly and they help me on my journey instead of, like, just, oh, you've changed, which, yeah, duh. Like, I don't want to be the person that I was 3 years ago. Like, I don't want to be that person. Just like Emily was saying with in middle school, you know.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. No, I get that, because I know it, like, 2020, all of, like, 7th and 8th grade, I was not a good person. Like, I, like, had completely just wasn't a God person, didn't believe in God, went to a Catholic school and didn't believe in God. And I think it was because of it wasn't what I was used to, because I grew up Presbyterian, and then I was in a Catholic school, and I was excluded from a lot of stuff because I wasn't Catholic. And so it really just gave me, like, a negative view on God and who he was. And I just kind of had to sit with myself and think about that. And it was also really hard because a lot of my friends weren't godly people. And so I was surrounded by ungodly ideas and ungodly things. And it really just took coming to church. And I remember the exact day when I came back to Christ. We were in big church and I was standing, and that was when I heard Reckless Love for the first time. And I was with my mom and my dad, and it was like they had invited us to sit. And so I was sitting down, and the song started, and I was listening to the lyrics, and, like, I just felt, like, tears rolling down my face, and I was like, why am I crying? This is so confusing. I, like, never cry. I don't believe in this. And, like, I literally felt Jesus's presence, like, come over me, And like that was such an experience, and like it's hard to explain. Like it's just something like that is one of the biggest moments that's ever happened in my life, is my spiritual journey. And just ever since that Sunday, like I've just really remembered that even if everything is going terribly, that Jesus is always there on my shoulder, because God's love doesn't make sense. Like I don't understand why he came to me and found me and saved me after all the like dumb, reckless stuff that I had been doing. But that was a change that was good and that was necessary, and I'm incredibly glad that it happened.
Yeah, I will say today in the worship set, that one song, the last one, I'm not gonna sing it for you. I'm not making that mistake. But no, I'm not bringing the guitar noises. I did that last time on the podcast. The worship set today, that last song, second to last worship one, the worship set, like I knew the words, but like every single time they go into that bridge, and I know Christians, they made some powerful bridges, y'all. The worship, like as a musician, I'm not gonna brag or anything, but like I just like when the bridge comes, I just know it's gonna be so good. And so today, going off what you said, I've seen you, and just so powerful, and it kind of reminds you of how he's always there and he's always looking over you. And some songs with the lyrics, you read the scriptures and you know it, but the songs, they kind of put it in a perspective that's like personally to you, and they make it familiar with the music. So I think some of the music kind of reminds you of how God's always there, and he's always there even through the change. So
what was the song that was at the beginning? It was like
the one with the techno music.
What?
No? Okay.
No, it said something about I don't know what you're doing, but I know what you've done.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing, but I know what you've done. And then what were the other ones? There was 3 verses, not verses.
I'm fighting a battle.
I'm fighting a battle you've already won.
Yeah.
And there was, I don't remember. I was gonna write them down and I didn't. But I feel like if you're watching this right now, you're obviously alive, you're here. There's never been a time in the history of forever where God has not provided for his people. Absolutely. So I think that if you've gotten through it, God will not put you through anything that you cannot get through. If it seems hard, it's because he wants you to come to him. You can't do anything. You can't do anything alone.
If God takes, okay, I'm building off of what you said.
Finish this for me.
But God, if he takes away people from you, they're not meant to be there.
Exactly.
And exactly. Why am I
if it
exactly,
doesn't open,
exactly?
it's not your door.
Facts. Facts. But yeah, the changes are pieces of a puzzle that's supposed to have a big picture. That demonstration was always so beautiful. But like Emorie was saying, you're not alone. Even if you seem alone, you were always meant to. You weren't always supposed to be there. The people that made you not feel alone were not the people that were supposed to bring you company. And yeah, you're not alone.
I also feel like God puts ungodly people in your life for a reason, because I feel like he wants you to lead them. Because the big thing is, I cannot remember the actual name of the verse, but something that we're called to do is to make disciples. And I believe that
Facts.
But I believe that God puts ungodly people and puts you in ungodly situations so you can make a godly thing out of it. Because the metaphors are metaphoring today, but when you bake a cake, you have all these things that come together. You can't just get flour and sugar and say, here's a cake. You need all the necessary things in order to turn it into the beautiful thing that we know is a cake. And I feel like that's the same thing with making disciples and growing your faith. It takes a pinch of this, a pinch of that. You have to go through the hardships to get to the good part. And that's just something you have to remember, especially when you're going through a godly change, when you're I'm not really living like a Christian right now because I'm so stressed out and so tired. Because I know the end of junior year, sorry juniors, it's not easy. I've lived through it barely, but at the end of it, it was truly fighting to get out of bed. And I know I begged to go on PCB because I knew I spiritually needed it, because I was so in just a low place, period, that I just needed to be reminded of like who God is and what God does, and that he puts you through everything for a reason. And so that was a big thing. And just remembering that change is not all bad, even if it feels bad because you're getting 2 hours of sleep and have to get up at 6 a.m. But believing you can do it.
Absolutely. I will say, like what you're saying with changing and like helping other people through that. I'm known as like a completely, I don't have trust issues at all. And it's like, so when someone's like, I see someone struggling, my automatic response is to go to them and not run away from them. And so when I see a new person struggling, I try to help my best to fix them in any way I can. And if I can't, I really don't give up. I know my friends are like, Ella, they're bad people. Like, you can't get to know these people. They're not good people. And I'm like, cool. Let me be friends with them. Let me teach them to be cool people and get to know how I live in my life. And I'm still a fun person. Anyway, but like, I show them kindness. And if I see people that like don't know how to be friends, instead of like abandoning them and then letting them figure out, I help them through that. I hang out with them when they don't have anyone to hang out with. And yet people say, oh, they have reasons that they don't have friends, Ella. They are people that are bad for people, and that's why people don't hang out with them. They don't want to get to know them. And I'm like, I do. I will look through that. And I know that's not always the best thing, but don't walk in their path. But I look at them and I see the good in people, and that's not always good, but I want to help them through their changes when nobody else is there.
That's very much like a Jesus thing, because that's how Jesus was. Like, half of his disciples were not amazing people to start off with. Like, he hung out with tax collectors, prostitutes, all of the above. Like, he was hanging out with the people who society like pushed to the side, because those are the people that he wanted to be part of his mission. Like, I know currently we're prepping for a song, and there's a song called The Rock of My Soul where it talks about the rich man Dives and how he lived so well, but when he died, he found a home in the pits of hell. Yes, he did. That's a quote from the song. And they talked about poor man Lazarus, poor as you and I, and he found a home with the Lord on high. It's about how even if you're like doing so great like in life, but you don't know who God is, then you're not gonna get eternal life. But even if you're doing poor, lowly, you don't have that many friends, but you find that one person that believes in you and leads you to God and gives you that spiritual, not juice, that spiritual food that you need, then you'll end up being able to live with Christ.
Okay, yeah, like you said, like Jesus will meet you where you are, and he loves everyone. And I really think that that's like God's love shining through you, Ella, is like he'll meet you where you are, and he loves you either way. And he doesn't just love you, like he likes you. Like he likes your personality, and he likes the way that you are. He likes everything that you don't like about yourself. Like he loves you, and he likes you, and he'll meet you where you are. And I think that in high school especially, you're trying to change yourself to fit in constantly, whatever the new trend is, whatever group you want to be in. You're trying to change yourself. And I think that you should like it hurts God's feelings, I feel like, because he made you this way for a reason. Like he handpicks like everything about you, and he knows everything about you, and he likes it. And you trying to change yourself is just like, if you try to change yourself, you're not going to find the people that really like you for you. Because you can keep up this act, you can keep it going, and it's not you. And you're going to find people that like this fake version of yourself, but you're not going to like people that like who you really are, and you're never going to be truly satisfied. And that person is Jesus.
I will say, like, building off of both of you combined. So God, the reason why he hung out with these people is because he was firm in himself and he could do no wrong. But us humans, the reason why people are always like resistant to go hang out with them is because we're not firm in that. And so I feel like if you find genuine, like firm, like a firm foundation in him, then you can hang out with these people and you can influence them, but you can't let them influence you. And that's why a lot of people don't hang out with them, because they don't want to be influenced, or they think they're weird and stuff. But as long as you know what's right in Christ and right in the world, and you don't get too influenced, put in their cup, but don't let them put in yours. So,
I always say, like a diamond starts out as a piece of dirty rock, and it goes through change that seems hard because it's pressure and it's heat and it's stuff that would regularly be deemed as negative, but it comes out as something pure, shiny, and beautiful. And I feel like that's what God does with us in all of our everyday experiences. And that's why he puts us through what he puts us through, because pressure builds diamonds, and godly pressure is the best pressure.
Yeah.
facts.
So I think that just last little bits is like, what kills your future is fear, and don't let the fear of change stop you from being who you want to be, because who you are right now is not who you're supposed to be for the rest of your life.
Let fear be your fuel.
Okay, period. Feel the fear and do it anyways.
Yes.
Yes.
Climb that mountain.
Okay.
Thank y'all so much.
Subscribe,
for having us on
Love
the
you.
like, comment.
Make sure you
all
smash
that.
that like button.
Like
You
button.
subscribe to the podcast.